spirituality isn't a thing. It's not a separate, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do, or I separate. It's how you live. It's why you live, right? Yeah. And so everything that you've come in contact with, you chose to come in contact with, right? Yeah. In one way, shape, or form or the other, yes? And Pokemon, I actively, consciously chose to be a part of, and my spirit was drawn to it. That was a part of my spiritual journey because I made it such. And so the spirit, the guides, and all that said, well, if his conscious mind is going to choose Pokemon, we were going to send him the messages that we were going to send him anyway through a way that he can read it. Pokemon.
Welcome back to another episode of the Walking Towards Light podcast. I'm your one and only host, Walker Williams, and it's a place where you can learn, you can grow your consciousness, and you can be your best self. Now today, we have a special guest, a spirologist, Onyx Frost.
What's good with you, bro?
How you doing, man?
I'm chilling. Well, it's a bright day outside. You know how it goes. You see me. I'm dressed for a bright day. It's beautiful, though. I'm happy to be here, bro.
Exactly. I'm happy to have you here because this is, like how we talk about it, just divine timing. How I came across you was at the What the Fuck is Meditation event, and soon as you start speaking and you start speaking about your knowledge and you start speaking about the things that you love and the things that you were teaching us, I knew it was an instant, like, he's going to be on my podcast. I knew that off the rip because there was a certain love that really connected and resonated with me. And I was like, yeah, I know we both can nerd out on this. Like, I can see that energy. I know that we can be locked in and have these conversations. And lo and behold, we can.
Nerd out we will.
We've been doing that for the first 2 hours before we even start the podcast. So I already knew this episode was going to be special. So one of the things to start off the podcast, I wanted to ask, like, what is a spirologist?
Excellent question, and thank you. So spirology, to put it simply, anytime you have ology at the end of something, it means a study of, right? And so whatever comes first is what you're studying. So think biology is the study of bio, right? So a study of life, yeah? Astrology is a study of stars, right? Astral stars, yeah? And so spirology is a study of spir, right? And if you look up the root for spir means to breathe, essentially, right? But it's not just study of breath, because when we think of spir, it is the base word of spirit. It's the base word of inspire. It is the base word of inspirational, a respiratory system, etc. It means life, right? And so spirology, in the simplest way, is a study of life, not the same way biology studies life, but the study of life in its totality. How the spirit and the science and the mind all come together into one entity, or many entities in any body, right? Spirology, therefore, is a study of the coalescence of reality, how it all coherently comes together, right? And so it's not just separate sciences like biology and astrology and chemistry and et cetera, all of it together, spirology.
Wow. That kind of that when you explaining that for me, I always felt like science and spirituality is one and the same. That's basically what that is.
And like, I came to it because when I was younger, right? When I was younger, I was in a Christian academy, like a private Christian academy and the school is called New Zion Christian Academy. It went from K to 12, right? And my mom also taught there for a while. So I would always come into the issue, that's my background essentially. I would always come into the issue with creationism when like evolution would come up, right? And like, people say, oh, it's creationism, God made it this way. It didn't come from monkeys, and obviously evolution says, but we evolved from these, and we can see the patterns and the bones and it. And I've always thought to myself, okay, well, if you have this all-powerful creator, if you have this being that can do anything, could he have not created the system of evolution and then set it in motion and then just watched it play out? Of course he could have. Of course God could have done that. And so to me, science and spirituality were never separate from the beginning. It was, well, if God can do anything, then he can just create evolution. And then boom, there's why are y'all fighting over it? Like, that was always my problem.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's in that sense, we can dive deep into, that's like a perfect segue of understanding your upbringing and to what got you to this place, because it's always so interesting to hear what was the thing that led you, what was the spark, what was the ideals that you had, what were the things that made you want to go down this path, because everybody has a different way of leading to what they're doing now.
Pokemon.
Deadass.
Pokemon. So, one, huge Pokemon fan, like massive. I love Pokemon. I've been playing it like so seriously. I've been playing it since I was 6, right? The Game Boy was my first console. My mother bought it for me for Christmas. Pokemon Blue was the first game I owned, right?
Yeah.
Not played because like I had an uncle, he had it, but like this is the first game I owned and played. I watched the TV show 3 o'clock, 3:30. You know what I'm saying? So every day you coming out to school, Pokemon on TV, and then I'm playing the game. But the reason for me, Pokemon is what gave me this. I know that sounds like let me get there. Because Pokemon teaches you with every single episode, it's a new journey, it's a new adventure, right? The Pokemon you meet might be scary, a ghost type or a dark type, but like you learn to accept the Pokemon for what it is, see its strengths, right? How to utilize it in battle, how to love it, right? If you have like a Gengar, for example, which is a ghost type, very scary looking, dubious, but like Gengar's for some people, they get a plush of it and hug it because like it's a cute, because the Pokemon are also designed to be cute. So like there's a duality in it, right? And like Pokemon, of course, at the time I didn't know all of this, but like I was drawn to it spiritually, obviously. Everything that we're drawn to is a part of our spirit. So like Pokemon taught me the message of seeing the gift in everything, seeing the strengths in everything and not just the weaknesses. And then because of the way Pokemon works is team building, you have to find a Pokemon to cover the weaknesses of the Pokemon you like. Because the Pokemon that you like, the cool ones, might have weaknesses that like you got to cover for. So you get other Pokemon to cover for those weaknesses. So even the coolest Pokemon on your team, you understand this other non-cool Pokemon is here to make sure he can stay the cool Pokemon. You see what I'm saying? And so Pokemon teaches you, or at least taught me, this life lesson of it's all balance. It is all, you have these strengths, I have these strengths. My strengths cover your weaknesses, same thing, right? My weaknesses, same thing. And so all of this balance and learning and seeking and searching came from Pokemon. I would seek out strong Pokemon, realizing that strong Pokemon was the ones I like. If I developed a strategy to make them strong, they'd get as strong as I wanted them to be. So Pokemon.
That's crazy. So Pokemon, that is interesting. First of all, I was a Pokemon lover. I collected the Pokemon cards and everything. I had the movies, all of that. But I never seen it being connected to a spiritual journey like that, which is powerful. So was that a part of like learning meditation, learning these things? What led to how did that kind of connect to that aspect of spirituality when it came to meditation, learn about the universe? What was those things like?
Because for me, every time when I was in the darkest, lowest, deepest parts of my life, like the abysses of my life where I didn't think I would make it out, it was dark, I would turn on a Game Boy, or I would turn on a Nintendo DS, or I would turn on a Nintendo 3DS, or I would turn on my Switch and I would play Pokemon. Because in the darkest moments that I've ever had, Pokemon was there, right?
Wow.
Like, and some people look at that as an escape. Some people, it's not that deep. But like it was for me, I'd be dead if I didn't have. Some years it was a Pokemon game to look forward to in August. And because I was on the internet and I was looking up, Pokemon Emerald's coming out, and I gotta be around to see it. Yeah. And that's like dark when you think about it, because when Pokemon Emerald was coming out, I was 2005. I was in 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? And these are the kind of thoughts I was having in 5th grade, but like Pokemon was there. You get me?
So I want to ask you, Mom, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to say, was there a cutoff to Pokemon? Do you still have a love of Pokemon to this day?
Oh, absolutely.
Or was there?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, February 27th is Pokemon Day every year. To be right. Because Pokemon Day is like when the series comes. Yeah. I was watching the announcement of the new game that's going to be coming out this later. So yes, very much so still a Pokemon fan. Yeah.
Wow. And I know that's something for your inner child too, that stays with you, that is a real personal thing for you. And that's really amazing. And it's great. That's how it shows that it could be anything that can connect you to spirit. That's a pure example, because I didn't know that. We was talking, I didn't know you would go there. That honestly for me is very intriguing, because I haven't heard a story that way. And that's how you know. It's just like, if it's meant to push you to that journey, regardless of what it is, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Because, the thing that we were talking about is that spirituality isn't a thing. It's not
Yeah.
a separate, oh, I'm going to do this, or
Yeah.
I'm going to do, or I separate. It's how you live. It's
Yeah.
why you live, right?
Yeah.
And so everything that you've come in contact with, you chose to come in contact with, right?
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or form or the other, yes? And Pokemon, I actively, consciously chose to be a part of, and my spirit was drawn to it. That was a part of my spiritual journey because I made it such. And so the spirit, the guides, and all that said, well, if his conscious mind is going to choose Pokemon, we were going to send him the messages that we were going to send him anyway through a way that he can read it. Pokemon.
Exactly.
And
That's
so
crazy.
that's how.
I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Pokemon though?
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
I gotta ask you.
I was waiting for it. Lucario, I have two. The Pokemon Lucario, right? And Lucario is my favorite because I'm going to tell both what both they are first, actually, and then I'll be able to describe why. Lucario and Zoroark, right? So Zoroark and Lucario. Why? So Lucario is a fighting steel type, right? He's the aura Pokemon. He can sense the aura of others, his trainer, etc. Lucario, therefore, is very attuned to the aura and energies, the emotions of others, and their strengths and their weaknesses, right? Lucario, in that way, represents my light, right? Stoic, powerful, sensible, right? Sensitive to those around him. Zoroark represents my shadow. Zoroark is a dark type Pokemon, deceptive. Its special ability is called illusion. When it's thrown onto the battlefield, it's actually disguised as another Pokemon. So you don't even know it's Zoroark when it first goes out there. So I tend to throw it out there with Lucario, and so people think it's my Lucario and it's actually Zoroark. And then sometimes I throw out Lucario and it's actually Lucario. So you get what I'm saying, right? This interplay between my light and my shadow, Zoroark and Lucario, representing those two things. That's why they're my favorite, right? And like both of them are powerful, right? Lucario is a special attacker, the physical attacker. Zoroark is special attacker, right? They're able to move and interplay, and they cover, like I said earlier, about the weaknesses and the strengths of each other the same way my light and shadow do.
That's deep. You can find deep. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. You can really, it can be deepness in whatever you look at. Whatever you look at, whatever you're paying attention to, whatever you follow in, or whatever your passion is and your love is, you can find some type of deepness and
everything.
And just spiritual connection in that. My favorite Pokemon might be basic. Pikachu.
That's good. That's cool though. That's cool because Pikachu is adorable, right?
Yeah.
One of my very good friends, and this is the only other person I can geek out with about Pokemon like this, is my friend Janae, right? Her favorite Pokemon is Pikachu, and she's been playing as long as I have. Yeah. And she's seen all the other. There's 1,000 and some Pokemon now, and Pikachu's still her favorite. Why? Because it's not about, oh, your favorite gotta be something. No, why is it your favorite? Right? She has a personal connection to why Pikachu is her favorite Pokemon. I imagine the same for you, right? Yeah. And so it's like, it's not about it got to be different from everybody else for the sake of being different from everybody else, because then is it really your favorite? Or you're just picking it because nobody else has his favorite Pokemon? Yeah. My favorite Pokemon is Lucario because there's a personal story for why it is. And then when Zoroark came out, because they're part of two different generations, when Zoroark came out, it was like the second half of that. They were my favorites for that reason, because it meant something to me, you know.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay, so we know that Pokemon is a very integral part to your story. Now, we was talking about earlier in college of the changes that you went from in college and stuff like that. Do you think from that moment when you was at that time from college and then after college, what was the shifts during that time? Just for those people who are on the younger side of the audience, of like, what did you have to learn? What was the most important parts of that growth in that period of getting after college and learning yourself, figuring out yourself and where you're going? What do you think that was? What was the changes?
Women. So, okay, like in generality, right, or in truth, in every stage of your life, right, you can compare how you dealt with the opposite gender to understand where you were at that point in your life, right?
Wow. So,
and I shouldn't say opposite. I don't like that word. Complementary, right? Because women are not opposite to us. We're not opposite to them. We're complementary. We were made to complement, or at least rather the energies were. They resonate with each other. For sure. And so for me, a great change when I got to college was in middle school. As you can probably imagine, I like Pokemon, and I was bringing my DS and Game Boy and all that. I like science because, you know, we've discussed a lot of things. When I was younger, I'll go to the library, you know, in like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. My mom would take me to the library, and I'd pick up books on aerospace, right, on fighter planes from World War II. I'd pick up books on quantum mechanics. I'd pick up books on the cosmos, the universe, and all that. So you can imagine I was very nerdy, right?
Yeah.
Pokemon wasn't the only thing I was into. I was in Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, all that. Like I was into like the weird, you know what I'm saying, Naruto. I wasn't Naruto running in school, mind you,
Yeah.
but like I was into all of that because like it's cool. It was like, you know what I'm saying, in anime, I like the fights, like, but like girls, I always had this interesting relationship with, right? So one, I'll put it this way: I've always had female friendships since I was young. Like that's been easy for me. I've always had, you know, women around me, friends. It was easy to make friends with women. And when I was younger, you know, I erroneously believed it was because they always put me in the friend zone. Damn, you know what I'm saying? I cannot. But like I would have women, especially when I was younger, tell me, because they were younger too, and they were dealing with the same thing, but from the other right side. TK, I feel safe around you, right? And that's something that I heard for, you know, most, if not all of my life. When I'm talking, when I was in elementary school up to today, I still hear that. TK, I feel safe with you, right? You know, I don't feel, I feel safe with you. I feel free here. I feel, right, like you're a person I can be safe around. Another thing that women would always tell me, again, since I was younger, is I trust you, right? And they would specifically reference that. I trust you faster than I trust most people, right? I don't trust men this quickly normally, right? I got to college, I went to Morehouse. Morehouse is, you know, all black, all male school in Atlanta, Georgia. And its sister school is Spelman, which is right there. And Spelman is an all black, you know, all women's school. And naturally there's other, you know, ethnicity, but most all black, right? And black it is. Oh shit. And let's say you black is beautiful. You feel me? Like, and black is beautiful. For sure. Because Spelman has women come from all over the world. I mean, from Africa, from, you know, Europe, from the Caribbean. I mean, you have black beauty represented in Spelman. Like, hey, motherfucker. And so, you know, when I got there, I was like, all right, well, I really need to figure out this, right? Figure out this, you know what I'm saying? Because it's too much around here for me not to figure out what I'm here. But, you know, it was looking back on my relationship with women and okay, why have I always been able to make great friends with women, but why can't I? Right? What is it? Is it something that they're seeing in me? Is it something that, is it? And answering those questions by yourself is impossible. And like a lot of men will try to answer those questions by themselves. Why don't they like me? Or they'll do the next worst thing is go to other men who are also asking these questions and don't know why, you know. And so they start telling each other it's because they like the this, they like the assholes, they like the this, so we should just do that. We should treat them poorly. We should da 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 da. And it's like, that works. Yeah, it does work. Why though? And because you've never looked at why it works, you think that it's because women just like assholes. And it's like, that's not the truth, right? And I had to start really like understanding myself and my behaviors in college and understanding, okay, women have always told me they feel safe around me. Women have always told me that they can be themselves around me. Women have always told me, you know, that they trust me, you know, and faster than other people. And so I need to understand that, because if I don't and something happens to my heart, that could be something that I use against them. And I know it could go that way. And I'm not going to lie to myself and pretend like, oh, I'm always good because I've had these. Because, you know, since I was young, I've had anti-sexist thoughts and ideologies and ideation, right? I didn't think that it was fair that women are treated, you know, differently because it's the same with black people. You teach me that black people are treated differently because we're black, and that was wrong, so don't treat women differently in front of me and then pretend like it's not wrong just because we haven't made that change as a society yet, right? I noticed it. I noticed a connection, the parallel between racism, sexism, all isms, right? They're all the same. Oppression is always the same. The language of the oppressor is always the same. And so I understood that from a young age, right? But now but I'm still a man though, right? Like, I'm still on this campus and y'all still look good though. Okay, so for sure. How do I incorporate my understanding that? Because also understanding y'all are people. You see brothers on this campus, you know what I'm saying? You looking too. So how do I make sure that I facilitate an interaction between me and the women that I deal with, such that I'm taking all of that into account? Into account the sexism that they got to deal with and coming at it in a specific way, into account the fact that she not even feel safe with me. not because of anything I've done,
Yeah.
but because of the fact that as a man and just the nature of being a man versus a woman, she could be. And so that's what it was, really trying to understand my role and relation next to and with and interaction with women that shifted my perspective on how I'm going to move as a man, right?
Wow.
Pokemon, it was how I'm going to move as a human being, okay? College and women, it was how I'm going to move as a man.
That's crazy. But also, I love what you're talking about, though. But see, the thing is, the one thing I want to talk about is that we have to continue to create and cultivate safe spaces for women. That's the most important thing, and that's something that, like how you talk about that, that's something that I've experienced since I was a kid. It's just I always been close to women, and I always made sure I had great relationships with women. I always had women best friends, girl best friends, and all of that. And I always wanted to make sure, and us as black men, we have to make sure we are protecting women. You know what I'm saying? And creating these healthy and, and great environments for women to be themselves and to be safe, to feel like they can be themselves and they feel like they can be safe and they can be calm and they can just be relaxed and chill. And that's one thing that I always want to put out into the world, because my love for women runs deeply, not just surface, not just romantically. No, it's just the protection of them, and want them to, because they experience a lot of craziness in this world when it comes to men, and it comes to not feeling safe when they going outside at night or whatever. But it's what you was talking about. I feel like us as black men can sit here and talk about and just speak on how important it is, because women should be protected, women should be valued as highly,
the creators that they are.
Exactly.
Right? And when we speak about that word protection, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the other thing that, because of the way that we're conditioned, the way that we're brought up, we look at protection in very one-dimensionally, right?
Yeah.
Especially as men. And like, just being honest with ourselves, we look at protection so somebody harms you, I gotta harm them, right? Protection for us is a very physical, violence-based thing, right? Because that's how we see things. And it's that whole, the phrase is like, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? Yeah. So if you've been raised to be a hammer, everything looks like a nail to you. And so every problem is a hammer it into it. And it's like, protection and protecting women isn't always, I got to go fight that man. Protection is sometimes calling out his behavior so that everyone else think that what he just did is weird. Instead of just letting it slide, it's, hey, bro, why the hell you just slap her ass like that? Man, well, why did you do that, though? You don't see none of us slapping them, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Yeah, we see all the ass shaking, too. You didn't see none of us go out and slap it, though. So calling that out is also protection, because it makes everyone else look at that man and, well, what you doing that for? Exactly. Right? Exactly. And so, some people might say, but then it gets violent, but that one man not about to go and fight 20 people looking at him saying, why you doing that the whole time? You know what I'm saying? You want to get bucked with 20 people? Then you pull out a gun and it's like, okay, but now let's start to really unpack that. Because a lot of men say, well, this is going to give out. He going to pull out a gun. So let's really unpack that then. Yeah. Why then do we say that, for example, we as men aren't emotional? If we all know that's the reason we won't jump in, because that man can bring out a gun, that's an emotional action. We all know that to be the case. Yeah. We are preempting that that's how he's going to respond, but then we pretend like as men we're not emotional. Even though we're preempting the emotions of another man, that's why we're not responding to help a woman in need. Right? And so to me, protection is understanding all of that. Yes. And moving with that.
And awareness.
Because, like, I was at a concert, actually, Tom in Richmond. The concert was cool, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But whenever I'm, like, in a space like that, the one thing that I'm going to always do is and some people will call this, hyper-awareness is like a trauma response, right? But one, I never feel trauma. For me, it's, I'm looking around and I'm not like, oh, what's going on? I'm just paying attention to everything. I'm paying attention to the couple over there arguing in the corner. For sure. I'm paying attention to the dudes dapping up and they cool. And I'm just a real quick glance at everybody, because then when something pops off, I knew it was about to pop off, because I saw, they was arguing over there. I saw him walk around that way. His fence was kind of glitched up. And I saw nobody over there. When he got over there, I saw some noise and commotion, so I knew it was going to pop off. But I also noticed he didn't have no gun, so I wasn't stressed, right? When he went over there, he had no gun. Now, I know if the person over there had a gun or not, but I know he didn't, so it would have to be the person over there if something popped off, and they already over there. And I've already paid attention to all of this. I know where the exits are. So I don't have that social anxiety, that social out, because, like, I'm good. I'm comfortable. I know
You
what you're
already
saying.
peeped the whole
You know what I'm saying? I
scenery
peep
out.
the scenery out, and that's how I can also keep women around me safe,
For sure.
right? Because now the women in the area around me, they don't have to know what's going on. They just, when I'm like,
But yeah, see, that'd be the thing, but that's just like, that should be human decency right there, especially in events like that, when there's crowds or whatever. You gotta make sure, you gotta watch out. But I be watching these raves and I be watching all of these big concerts and the women just being there squished. I'm like, y'all not, why y'all not making sure
nah, I've had no kind of attention.
I was in a situation, I was at a concert and it was just one girl. She just came by herself. She was short and she was just trying to enjoy the concert, but it was me and my friends, and it was like 5 guys in front of her. She couldn't see and everything, and I was like, bro, let's make some space. Let's make sure. That whole night, I was trying to, me and my friends, we was trying to make sure that she was just being able to see the concert and that she was comfortable and that nobody wasn't doing nothing. Because shout out to her for going to the concert by herself
right?
too.
That's bravery for a woman, for real, for real.
That's what I'm saying. And that's super dope alone, to be able to want to do that alone, to go see your favorite artist alone. That's amazing. But like how you said, the hyper awareness, I was watching her make sure that she was enjoying it too.
But I want you to think about something, brother. I want you to really think about something. That's community,
Yes.
right? The idea that is always expressed to me, and the idea that I always see when we surround this protection idea, is that, well, if I don't know her, what they got to do with me? That's not my sister. That's not my daughter. That's not my mama. That's not my, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, yeah, but it's someone else's. And don't you have sisters, daughters, mothers, aunties, cousins, et cetera? And when they go out there in the world, they're going to be dealing with men that think just like you.
Yes.
Do you want them to deal with men that think just like you, and how you think about other people's women, right? And so then it's, if instead black women on the street could see me on the street, not know me, not know my name, not know shit, but know immediately if something popped off on that street, there's a brother, he got my back. And like in the ways that I can as a woman help him and have his back, I got his. But if something pop off on this street right now, whatever pop off might be, right? There goes a brother. I'm good. I'm safe. I'm safer. You know what I'm saying? As safe as realistically possible in this environment. But I'm safer because he's here. Yeah. Not in spite of him being here, but because he's here. And that's what like you did for that young woman at the concert. You and your boys did. Y'all saw someone who was coming to the concert, paid the same money that everybody else paid, wasn't going to be a seat because she's short and she's by herself. And y'all like, no, we're going to make sure that you got a good time too. Mm-hmm. Right? And that is community. That is what masculinity to me really looks like.
100%. 100%. That's what we should be doing with our masculine energy. And it's also like, I think it's, we live in a society where we just think about ourselves and that's it. We make sure ourselves, we just make sure we're good.
Right. Me, right?
The person beside me, I could care less what happened to them. But see, that's why it's crazy. There's a lot of things that comes and that changes with awareness. And this is why I try to explain. Once you understand that person next to you is you. Once you understand that you are connected to all things around you, your whole perception changes. Your whole thing, your whole ideal of people and how you care of people and how you care of your neighbor, it completely changes, because now you're knowing like, oh, that person is me. That level of compassion. And that's a good segue.
It is.
To the 4 C's.
It is. I was just saying.
Oh my God.
I see where he's going.
Look, that just came in smoothly.
Well, that's how they go, yeah.
So we talked about Pokemon leading you to understand yourself and how the college era led you to understand how to be a man. But there's 4 things that you live by and that you explain that I really love. It's the 4 C's. What are the 4 C's?
So the 4 C's. But the 4 C's are curiosity, creativity, compassion. And those 3 things will lead to the 4th connection, right? And so I developed this guiding principle, if you will. I call them the guiding C's, right? And how I approach every situation, how I move, right? And why I move, right? And so in the What the Fuck is Meditation event, we spoke about in the first one, the way I brought up the first one, curiosity, right? A lot of people think of bravery or courage as the antidote to fear, right? Or as the opposite of fear. And I would respectfully disagree, right? Mm-hmm. Because someone can be afraid and be courageous, right? Because indeed we are courageous in spite of fear. We choose bravery in spite of fear. In fact, in the face of it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it is not really the opposite of fear if we can feel fear and bravery at the same time, right? You can't be hot and cold at the same time. Opposites cannot exist in the same space. And so then what truly is the opposite of fear? And my answer came to be curiosity, right? Mm. Imagine something is scaring you. You know, there's a boogeyman in the dark. And all of us think about, you know, the dark having the boogeyman and the monster under the bed or whatever. And the fearful person will, I have to hide from it because I don't know what it can do to me. I don't know how it can hurt me. The curious person will say, how can it hurt me? Can it hurt me? Right? The curious person will say, what can it do to me? Mm-hmm. The curious person will say, how would it do so? Because I can do things too, right? Yeah. And so the curious person is approaching life from the perspective of, I want to understand for whatever need I might have to understand this thing I have now been presented with, right? If it's a danger, I got to understand it so that I can properly acknowledge and address the danger. If it is a friend, right? I have to be able to acknowledge and address the way the friend has approached me. So curiosity is how we truly combat fear. It's how we combat, you know, doubt. It's how we combat all these things. And so if we look first with an eye for the curious, allow curiosity to take over. They'll say, well, curiosity killed the cat. Satisfaction brought it back. There's a lot of times where we won't really think through and, like, you know, try to find through things because, oh, that's already been answered. That's already been solved. Everybody already knows it. No. Sometimes being curious about things, even that everyone seemingly knows everything about already, is still valuable and worthwhile. So that's curiosity, right? Mm-hmm. Curiosity is a powerful agent against fear. It's a powerful agent against doubt, right? But it's also a powerful agent just for gaining knowledge. And then what is the purpose of gaining knowledge? Is it just for knowledge's sake? No, it's to do something with it naturally, right? And that's where we get into the next C, creativity, right? I hold the belief that the highest form of intelligence is creativity, right? It's not being able to recite, you know, every formula in a book or being able to solve any math problem, unless that math problem is new and never been seen before. And then it is, because you have to be creative to solve it, right? Creativity to me is the highest form of intelligence because it takes all these things I already know and says, all right, but can I synthesize something new with it? That requires a level of intellect and understanding and connecting patterns and connecting things within the knowledge that's disparate that you have to see as the observer. And that's why creativity in any form, from art, you know, painting, music, building, engineering, solving those problems, creativity is the highest form of intelligence to me.
100%.
And like, if you can create, you never stuck, right? If you can create, you never stuck. And I'm going to start with something simple. This fit right here, right? This right here is pure creativity because this is about $50, right? All together, this is about $50. But if you saw me out, you know, you might think, oh, that's he got a real way. And what is that? What does he wear? I'm wearing $50. You feel me? Thrifted here, Walmart there. Because what the creativity I'm part of here is style, not fashion, style. That is you expressing yourself creatively through the clothing that you put on your body, right? Creativity can be found anywhere and how you express it, and it can solve any problem.
Yeah. It's creativity is literally, you look around, everything is from that creativity. Everything it's so crazy. Even when I'm out working and stuff like that, it's just like everything that is created, everything that is appeared to be solid has came from here first. It started in here first, and then it was manifested out into physical reality.
And like, even as simple as this couch, right? This, like, couches didn't always exist. They didn't. I mean, you can look up on Wikipedia, when did the first couch get right? Yeah. And like, when you can see when the first something got made, that means a human being made that. So this, and you think, bitch, it's just a couch, because we take it for granted, but somebody had to think of this. If I want to chill with a bunch of my people and we want to be comfortable, but like in one spot, right? Because we can all be comfortable in separate spots, but we'd have to like create the comfort in each spot separately. If we want to be in one spot in a line, perhaps, they solved that problem, right? And the couch was born, and now all of us have couches, right? Every home has a couch, And so creativity is utilizing knowledge to solve problems, obviously, but also sometimes not just to solve problems, but utilizing knowledge to just express. Because again, fashion style isn't creativity to solve a problem, it's creativity to express, right?
Yes.
So creativity has different uses, but in all of them, it is the highest form of knowledge and the highest form of intelligence.
Yes, 100%. So what's the
next?
You got curiosity, creativity, which I love. I love both of these, by the way. Those are essential to reality,
and that's why you start there.
Exactly,
because it's an order to it, right? You move from curiosity. Why? Because curiosity gets you knowledge. You learn. You build. Creativity, you bring it together. Compassion gives you a reason to have brought it together. Why do most people create? To share. Right?
Yes.
Most people create art to share it. Most people create to share it. Most people create to share. Yeah. Compassion, right? And so that couch, let's go back to the couch. Why did he create the couch? To have 4 of his friends sit on it together so that they can talk and they can chill and they have a good time. It was compassion, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whenever compassion is a driving force behind creativity, it will always yield to something much, much greater than whatever the person individually was making themselves. Because like I said, he was just finding a way for 4 of his friends to get together to be in the same line. And now every home in America, every home in the world, in fact, has a couch in it. Yeah. Right? So compassion is why we create, right? Compassion is the what was it for? Did I just make it to make it? No, I made it to express it. Express it to who?
Yes.
Right? And so curiosity is the gaining, the collection of, the acquiring of knowledge, the amassing of knowledge. Creativity is the use of that knowledge to solve a problem or to express something. Compassion is why you did it. And those 3 in a row will lead to what? Connection. Because what did that creation of the couch do? From the compassion of his heart, get 4 of his friends together to sit on it to do whatever they did. Yep. I would like to know what the first couch was used for, right? Like if they just watched the game, if they just talk, if they right?
The first couch. That's crazy. That's some. I'll be. You know what's so crazy? In this reality now, I just be wishing I could watch when the first things was like used or discovered. What was the experience like? What was
seriously?
What was the mindset like
seriously?
When they sat on the couch? They was like,
this is nice. You kind of hold on. You might did something, nigga. You might have hold on, right? Because that's how it go. Yeah. You might have just did something, nigga, and they did. Because this motherfucker kind of, hey, you say got quarters and shit. You can, but like,
because that was game. That's game changing for humanity. Everybody has a couch.
And you think, and again, and we think of something so mundane as a couch. That's not game changing. All right, there was a time before it though, and every house you've ever been to in your life had a couch. And people might be watching this thinking, why y'all talking about couch? Because everything is spiritual. Pay 100%. Attention to the signs around you. Every home in the world has a couch now. And there was a time in history before couches existed. And a person made a couch. What does that tell you? Every individual one of us can have a global impact. If you follow what? Curiosity, creativity, compassion. And you lead to connection.
That's crazy. And I love them, and that's something that I will keep in my mind, because those 4 things are something that I feel like are a very huge part of me, especially compassion. That's a number one thing. Another thing that I always live by is being compassionate. And that's a thing that, I mean, even the ascended masters spoke about. Was the most important thing really was compassion.
Exactly. And you know, that's what, like, when we speak in bringing up the ascended masters, right? Like the religious teachings, Buddha, Siddhartha, Jesus, right?
Yeshua.
All of them spoke about the same exact thing. Hey, bro, just treat people well. And you got love all these neighbor. People, love thy neighbor. But my neighbor's an asshole. Love him anyway. Yeah. Because that's the point. Love is all you need. I'll deal with them later. Because you don't know why he's being an asshole. You don't even take the time to figure it out. And you don't think that's not your whatever. Cool. Love him.
And guess what? What if that asshole is meant to be the asshole, for you can learn layers about yourself?
Evan Almighty. Evan Almighty the sequel to Bruce Almighty, right? And the scene where Evan's family, right, Evan Baxter's family, is sitting in they're in that diner, right? Because like she's left him because he's building the. You remember the movie, right? He's building the ark and all
I haven't
that.
seen that movie actually.
Okay, so let me. So you've seen Bruce Almighty, yes?
Yes.
With Jim Carrey, right?
Yes.
There's a sequel, Evan Almighty, and Evan Almighty is essentially like a retelling of the story of Noah, right? So we're telling the story of Noah, like modern day and all that. And like, there's a scene where, of course, think about this modern day. Like, this man goes and starts building a big ass boat because it's gonna rain, and he's been told all this shit.
Yeah.
People are like, "You're fucking crazy," including his wife and his, his kids are glad like, "No, daddy's just being, his wife is like, babe, people are starting to look when you're building, a boat, outside on the yard and shit, like." And so there's a point where, like, part of the conflict of the film, the wife, separates because she thinks he's crazy, and. He's of course like, am I crazy? I'm getting these messages from God to do this boat. And of course, God knows he's played by Morgan Freeman. So like, God is actually coming to him, right? Like he's not just hallucinating this. But there's a scene where, the wife and the kids are separated and they're in this diner because they've driven off. They're going to go be with their mother or whatever for a while being. And they're in this diner. And Morgan Freeman's character as God, comes to them. She doesn't know he's God, obviously. Yeah. And she's just talking to a stranger. And, she's like, I just, I wish, my family could be closer, but like this happens and it drives him apart. And Morgan Freeman's character, as God says to her, he says, when we pray for patience, does God make us patient or does he give us opportunities to be patient? When we pray for love, does God fill our hearts with feelings of warmth and desire or does he give us opportunities to express and show love? Right? The prayers that we are asking are for opportunities to show God what we are claiming to want to be in the first place. And so what you just said, right? Is that asshole really actually there for me to learn how to accept that? This person could just be having a bad day. I don't know that, but I wasn't even willing to take the time to figure that out because he's being an asshole to me. Yeah. Who the fuck are you? That man has a whole life. You just another motherfucker in the day to him. Yeah. Right? Sonder. Sonder is the concept that every single person you run into that you meet in your life has a life just as complex as your own.
100%.
Right? And so that asshole, you might have just been the dude that he saw after somebody cut him off and made him late. Sure. Like, you don't know. Yeah. And so there's no reason to take it personally. There's no reason to be upset about it. There's no reason to... My bad, bro. I'm saying you got a rough day going on. I hope it gets better for you. Really, genuine. I hope it gets better for you. I hope you take time to slow down and let it get better for you.
Exactly. That's the importance of not taking, like how you said, not taking things personally because everybody, what people are going through is, like how you said, you just never know what they're experiencing. So it's not something that you should take internally. It's something that they're dealing with. But also another theory that I feel like is that I keep in my mind is like, of how it's like what I was talking about in my last podcast before 2 weeks. I know I've been gone for 2 weeks, y'all, but it's just like everything is coming from our consciousness, right? In a sense, so like everything is like a guide to learn who you are, to learn yourself, to know what triggering you. Like I posted on Instagram not too long ago. It's like your triggers are things that's showing you of places where you need to heal, and you. So it's like I feel like there are circumstances of things that happens to teach you and for you to go inward on yourself to be like, okay, that made me like, why did I get triggered? Why did I? You know what I'm saying? It's certain things that I feel like certain events, certain people that come in our life that in certain events that happen at these certain times is like a
mirror.
Yes. And it's guiding you to learn yourself more. So it's like it's like a grand teacher. Like everything around you, like even you being here in this, me being in your experience, is a teacher.
There it is. Because although you were gonna go at the meet, no, you. Yeah. Right. So yes, and like when you meet that, let's for a moment the asshole, right? Because a lot of people but people that are the asshole, right? How can I still be good? How can I? Because why is it bothering you that much? Yeah. Right? Go inwards. Like you said, they're revealing something to you because he's yelling at you. You've never done that to somebody? No, I try to. You try to, but you've done it to somebody. So let's stop trying to be perfect in this moment. And why did you do it that day?
Yeah.
There's something in psychology called association bias, right? An association bias is how we will associate the behaviors of others to their character. So if someone steals something, it's because they're a thief, right? We would associate our own behaviors, however, to our circumstances. If I steal something, it's because I got fired from my job and it's been hard and I've been in my savings and association bias. So a lot of times when things are being, or people are doing things, we will see that as negative behavior and we'll immediately associate that negative behavior with that person's character and not with that person's day. Right? Because like if I was having a bad day, I might not be the best version of myself. If somebody met me on that day, it may not be the best version to me. But like if they recognize that it's just a day, the next day they might give me a better chance, right? That's why I've always kind of hated this idea of first impression is everything. It's like, no, it's not. Like my first impression of most of my friends was these motherfuckers weird. And now these are the closest people in my life, you know? Wow. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot more to think about when you have these experiences and these encounters with people. It's a lot. It's deeper things that could be going on that you should just think about and give them grace.
And people don't. And like my issue with everything right now is that is the solution, to just slow down, right? Slow down. Why? Okay. But most people are like, that's not my responsibility. I got all these other things going on. You're going to have all them other things going on regardless. Yeah. Slow down.
But I also think, people have to be aware of what they're creating too.
They do.
Because also, like how you said, mirror, I believe that your reality is mirror of what you thinking about daily, constantly, every single day. Like your perception of life. If I'm telling you, if your perception of life, if like everybody treats me this way, or everybody has like keep saying these negative things about me, this is like constantly permeating your mind. I think there's a sense that you will create those experiences to show you, like, because I stand on this. I probably said this on 5 episodes by now, but it's like the universe is going to respond and say, yeah. Like, is this your reality that you choose? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it is.
Yeah. And the universe is like, since you believe it. And the crazy thing about the universe, and this is what I think people need to understand about manifestation, right? Manifestation does not work based on language. I think a lot of people get caught up in I have to say this affirmation the right way. I got to come up with the perfect affirmation. I got to, no. When you say, I don't want this to happen, and then you immediately visualize what you don't want to happen, the universe doesn't hear don't want, because the universe doesn't work in language, right? It works in what? Energy. And what did you just do? Visualized. You put energy to something. And what did you put energy to? What you don't want. And what did the universe pick up on? What you don't want. So what did the universe do? You're preparing for it anyway, right? Like you could look at it multiple ways, right? You could look at it as, if you think about, I don't want this to happen, so I'm going to prepare for these, ways to avoid it happening, or prepare for these ways to deal with when it happens. You think the universe is about to just waste your time then? Oh, since you prepared for it, my nigga, here it go, right? Deal with it, since you've been taking all this time to prepare for it mentally, right? But I didn't want it to happen. Then why'd you think about it so much? You made plans for it. I'm not about to waste that.
Exactly. And it's subconsciously too. Your subconscious don't know what is real, what is not. Mm-hmm. So if you're focusing on what you don't want all the time,
that's what's going to come, right? And it's like, speak of the devil and he shall appear. And that's how the universe works, right? You've been calling that motherfucker name, and well, he about to show up then, since you want to see him, I guess, right? And to me, it's like, if you genuinely want to shift it all, right? Let's go back, actually, because another good segue, because this is something that I see a lot of men get trapped in, right? Okay. Let's go back to men, right? Because I love using examples we've already spoken on. Let's go back to men and women, right? Yeah. And how a lot of men will have this conceptualization of women in their heads that they're gold diggers, that they just want to take from me, that women are just take, right? So that's how you see women. So you approach them transactionally. Yeah. Everything with them is, I have to give something, they're going to take something. So if I want something, I'm going to give it. Well, they got to give so I can take. Well, that's exactly what the universe is going to supply you with, and just a laundry list of motherfucking women who are going to take from you, because that's how you see them, right? Yes. And if you approach them that way, that's what they going, oh, nah, she's just a gold digger. I got to give her this to get something. And then you start that process. Instead of coming to her like, I like Pokemon and shit. Do you do you know how many, bro? Like, I'm not good. I could have been if I was like that kind of motherfucker just because I started talking about Pokemon. Oh, you like Pokemon? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Because women are people too. And so like approaching them that way, that caged in mindset, you've already created that reality for yourself. So that's all you're going to deal with as a man. Women that use you. Because that's what you expect. That's what the universe is going to send to you.
Yes.
And so like I go into it as no, because like if she asks me for something and like I can say no. And if she don't deal with me after that, right? Like, and that's not, I'm not going to take that shit personal. That's where she's at right now. That's what she's dealing with right now. I'm not going to try to change that for her, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to inspire change if I do. Because she might be like, that nigga told me no. Who the fuck he? How he tell me no? Who he saying yes to, right? Because that's how shit go.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you simply move, as I said earlier, 4 C's, curiosity, creativity, compassion, connection, right? And you look at it, instead of this is the way the world is and this is what the universe is doing to me and what is the universe trying to teach me? What can I learn from this person? What can I learn from this woman? What can I learn from this man? What can I learn?
Yes.
And after I've learned it, what can I do with it? What can I create? What can I build? And after I've built it, who would I share it with? Why would I share it? Why would I?
But that's the power of knowing thyself.
Like you said, awareness.
Once you know that you can create this, or you can change that reality around that you were stuck in of those patterns of the people that you was attracting to your life.
The whole time.
But you have to know that though. Like there's a power in knowing how much you can affect reality with your way of thinking. And that is the shift.
It is. And they say that you have to, there's like a lot of quotes that I'm always kind of, living by just because like the knowledge and the wisdom in a quote sometimes is succinct, right? But like you can feel it. And so there's that idea that you practice how you play, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you play how you practice. There it is, right? So like when you're in sports teams, right? Like the coach in practice was like you're in the game.
Yeah.
Coach, just practice, man. What you got? Right? And the coach is like, but when you out there on the field, you have went to that level in practice. So this is just practice match for y'all.
Yeah.
That's the mentality behind it. So if you move with everything you do as if I am practicing what I claim to believe, right? I'm aware of myself and how I move, and I want to know why these things keep happening to me. And again, what most people will do, and just the things we've already talked about, is a combination of things we've mentioned. Yeah. Association bias will associate other people's actions with their character, and so they just will assume these are terrible people. Men will assume women are terrible people because they are, right? But then they'll look at their own women and their family, their sister. Well, my sister does this because whatever. Yeah. Right? And so apply that to everything. Well, that makes life too complex. Life is complex. But it's simple, right? Yeah. And that's the thing. People hear life is complex and think life is supposed to be, simple. And it's like simple and complex might sound like that they are separates, right? But simple and complex are not opposites, right? Things can be simple if you understand the complexity of it. So like, for example, you understand that to do this whole process, right? Your whole podcast setup is complex. You got this camera, you got the laptop, you got the lights, you got the mics, all that got to be in. But for you, it's simple. It's, all right, I put this here, I put that there, I move that there, boom, 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 bam, bam, let's go. And we doing the show. You've made simplicity out of complexity, right? And that's just one area of it. And so what I always think of is things are only as complex as you allow them to defeat your ability to understand them, right? And so like, we don't take the and then understanding something is just a time thing, right? Yeah. We expect to understand something the moment we see it. Like, no. You have to see something, interact with it, question it, yada, yada, yada. There's a process to understanding something. It's like when we get to know somebody, there's a process to that. You're asking questions. And I think actually that's where I want to, this is the one that I really want to speak on.
Okay. Speak about it.
People always wonder, how do you meet yourself? Because we spoke about it. Be yourself. You meet yourself. How do you do that? Because, like, you'll get all of these, gurus and self-help books and all that. You just got to be yourself. You just got to. And, I think there comes the practical question, what does that mean? What does that look like practically. So I'm going to give you a practical way to meet yourself and to learn yourself and to understand yourself. And I'm going to ask you a question. When you were in school and you had to understand any subject, what did you do? Some people might say, well, I opened a book and read it. Yeah, but there's no book about you yet. So what did you do first? Why did you go find a book? Because you had a question, right? Because you asked a question. If you want to understand something, you ask questions about it. And so if I want to understand me, why do I respond to things this way? Why do I like these type of women? What led me to make that choice? Why do I see things this way? Why do I like oranges, right? Like, it really does get to the point where ask questions about yourself, because most people don't even know why they are whatever they are.
Yes.
They just are.
Yes. People go their whole life not asking.
They whole life not asking, why is my favorite food pizza, right? My favorite food, but you know, people never ask themselves. But like, people never ask themselves, why is that my favorite thing? Why do I not like? Why? I just don't. No, that's not how things work. You didn't come into this world just not liking spaghetti because you didn't know what spaghetti was when you got here, right? That's not how it works. And so it's, why don't I like this? Why don't I like that? Why do I do this? Why do I do that? Why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? What made me think that? What started? I mean, you can get deep. A lot of people don't know what they're supposed to journal. Make that what you journal. Make that what you, just questions about yourself that you assumed that you knew. What is my favorite food? It's tacos. But like, why? I just like taco. No, like, why? Well, I like, you know, seasoned chicken, and I like shredded cheese, and I like lettuce and the pico de gallo, and I like it's fresh, and I like the flour tortilla, I like the guac, and then you start to understand why I like tacos, right? And then you know yourself better. And then when somebody comes to you, and then this is where you can get real fucking cool with it. I know why I like tacos. It's because of pico de gallo. So I might like pico de gallo and something else. It can help you to find more about yourself, right? So it's no longer just about tacos, right? And so people don't ask themselves those questions. They don't study themselves. Oh, you good, bro? Life.
Sorry, y'all.
Oh, check this. My shit just went out.
I thought
the universe,
I thought I
boy.
put my phone on silent.
The universe, boy.
Who was calling me?
If you talking, well, I'm trying to tell universe.
I'm sorry, y'all. We sorry, y'all. We're back, y'all. We had to take a little bathroom break, you know, after a random phone call came in. But we back in action.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so where we leave off at again?
We were actually talking about, we were gonna segue into, you know, how most people, because I think you go out in the world today and like the way most adults work or the way most adults move, you'd be like, bro, did any of y'all graduate?
No,
like,
for sure.
Anything? Like, maybe not like anything.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you have to come to the reality that for most people, think about what like you're saying when you ask that. Like, even you just contextualize graduating as like, this is the knowledge cap, right? For most people, that's the knowledge cap.
Yes.
That 12 years after high school is like, that's it. Like, that's when I was in school for. That's when I was a student. Now I'm an adult and I have a job, and that shit don't mean anything.
Yeah.
It don't mean anything, right? So most people, all they know is what they learned in their job. And if they haven't moved up in their job, they don't know much, right?
Yeah,
like,
and there's a sense, like how we were speaking about on the break, but there's a sense that curiosity is out the window now. It's like you go through school, it's like you learning all of these things and learn all of this stuff, and then it's just like one school over, and you in the workspace now after graduation and stuff. It's like you lose a sense of wanting to learn about what's around you, wanting to learn about yourself, asking these questions that we normally would be asking as a kid. Is like, as we go through those years of school, it's like from elementary to middle school, high school, college. By the time we get to college, it's kind of get around that time.
It's gone.
That's where the questions and the curiosity and all of that is completely
gone. And you know,
and it's like you kind of, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it's like you kind of just used, and you feel like just this should be your normal life. Like, this is like you preparing for the work, eat, life system. Like, you know, I got to get a job. I have to take care of the responsibilities, rent.
Like a 401k, you know what I'm saying? Set aside money for when I'm not working.
Exactly.
And I only got 20 years to myself now. And I'm already old and tired and grumpy and bitter because they've given all this time to someone else for something I didn't even care about. Right? Yeah. And it's like, instead, because the curiosity didn't die when you got the diploma, right? The curiosity was being killed from the moment you stepped into the classroom. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and the curiosity is killed. It is killed because of the way that we gain knowledge in the classroom, right? It's separate from the thing. You learn about plants and, like, you're in a 4 walls, white space. Some of them don't even have windows. Yeah. And you can't see a plant in sight, but you learning about plants. Why wouldn't you be in front of plants learning about plants, right? Like, the way that we learn in school kills the curiosity. Because school tells you what you're supposed to know and doesn't allow your brain to seek what it wants to find out. Yes, right? 100%. And so, like, I think teaching and education should be based on the questions that the kids ask. But then everyone wouldn't, you know, there wouldn't be a standardized, because maybe knowledge isn't supposed to be standardized. Wow. Because each of us has a different, unique perspective, viewpoint of what we want to figure out about this world, and each of those is important. And so if Tommy over here goes and they want to find out about art, different ways that you can express art, different ways that art can be, Tommy's going to go off and become the next Picasso, right? Albert Einstein has a quote that says that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life thinking that it's stupid. Right? Yeah. And so if I have Tommy who wants to go become the next Picasso, but I throw him in classrooms where he has to learn how to be the next Eisenhower or Einstein, he's not going to be who he's supposed to be. Yeah. And he is eventually going to get tired of seeking who that's supposed to be is. Wow. And then he's going to do whatever you told him to do. Get a job, get a wife, get a house, get 2 cars, 2.5 kids, white picket fence, 401k, retire, nursing home, die.
Wow. That Albert Einstein quote right there just hit him. It just hit something right there.
Because and you have to think about who Einstein was to say that. Einstein knew who he was to say something like that means even more, right? I'm one of the smartest men in the world, and I'm telling y'all, I see genius in everybody, but y'all keep trying to compare them to me.
Right.
Right? Don't do that, basically, right? And even within the same industry, right? Mm-hmm. Picasso is not Van Gogh. But both of those names we know. Both of those men, completely separate art styles. We know both of them. Right? Wow. Everybody has a lane, even if what seemingly is a compact, you know, what's the word they use? When the market is oversaturated. That's the word you hear. Oversaturated. People would tell you that podcasts are oversaturated. Yeah. But it depends on how you execute it and what you bring to people.
100%. But thinking about that, you just if you come in wherever you're doing it thinking that it's oversaturated, you just minimalizing yourself. You can't do that.
But then I think the other thing is that if you go into it thinking that way, then that's not what you're supposed to be doing anyway, because you're going into it trying to be something in it versus already being it, right? I don't imagine you went into podcasting thinking, man, Eric got a podcast. You said no. You said, I got some shit I want to say.
Exactly.
And I got people in my life that got some shit to say too. And 100%. I'm going to give us a way to say that shit so people can hear us. 100%. And that's why your shit going to take off, bro.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, yeah.
Because that's all, like, all of this ever has been is the sharing of stories. From the beginning of human history, right? That's how we inseminated knowledge. That's how we pass it down. We share stories because that's where the wisdom is. That's where the knowledge is. That's where everything is. And those campfires that you sit around with a bunch of people that you care about and y'all talk about y'all day because there was a lesson in everybody's day that everyone at the campfire can take from.
Yeah. It's just I gotta give this shout out to a friend. A friend gave me an example of this, what we talking about. It's just like, look at how many bread companies there are. You gotta think, you go to a bread section in the grocery store, it's bread.
It is. And think about something else. Think about, as part of that, you only like one of them motherfucking pieces of bread. So if that company didn't start, who would you be eating?
Exactly.
You see? And that's what I want people to understand about. If you have something you want to do, go and do it. Because no one else, no one in the world, and I can say that with absolute certainty, no other entity or person on this planet will think to do it the way you will, because not a single one of them has your mind. And so you can be in the most saturated market in history. Rihanna, before she dropped Fenty in the makeup market, and become a fucking billionaire in an industry that people told you that you wouldn't get a couple of dollars in.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Rihanna said, nigga, ain't nobody gonna do it like me, though.
Right? But no, that's how you should look at shit, bro. I be trying to tell these folks, like, that's why I don't gatekeep shit. I don't gatekeep nothing.
That's
because guess what? I can give you my whole closet. I can give you my whole closet of clothes. Will you wear it like me?
I could give you the recipe, but will it taste the same? Boy, will it taste the same? Nigga, boy. It's like if you look at and study and all this in it, why are you studying me? Clearly I'm something special. Because you're not doing what you need to be doing if you studying me, so I'm going to give you something to look at. Exactly. I'm going to give you something to beat in. Because the moment you, again, and we keep saying this, awareness, you turn inward and express instead of take, right? You be good. People look at the industry they try to go into, they want to start a business, they want to do this, they want to do this, and they look at it again all from the wrong standpoint. I want to be big. I want to be famous. I want to have the best chicken spot. I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you opening in the chicken spot? Just because you want to be the best chicken spot? It's already a best chicken spot. Do you know what it is? Oh, it's Popeyes. I hate Popeyes. The point is it's different for every motherfucker that you ask what their favorite chicken spot is. So if you trying to be the best for that, good luck. Right? Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck trying to be the best for everybody.
Yeah.
Why would I open a chicken spot? Cause nigga, when I make chicken, that shit feel like I'm making music. Yes. When I make chicken, that shit feel like I'm expressing myself. When I make chicken, I get it. I understand it. I like the crackle of the fry when it's in the. I like when I drop it in it. Yeah. That's why I'm making a chicken spot so I can hear that every day.
Yes.
And because I'm making chicken out of love and passion, people gonna come to that shit anyway. Right? Basically, the point being, do it with love. Do it with passion.
And that creates connection.
You get it, boy. You get it. You get it. Yes, and it creates
because
connection.
You're doing it with passion, and it's only going to follow with connection. Like, if you love, like, that made me think about the 4 C's, because it's just like when somebody want to create a chicken spot or something like that, or whatever type of spot, pizza, whatever, plant-based, whatever spot, you know, you thinking about it. That's compassion too, because you're doing it in the sense of wanting to create connection.
To create for people, right?
To create for people, to create a space where people can come in and enjoy the food and enjoy the tasty, delicious ingredients that you cook in.
And here's how you make it even crazier. The deeper you meet yourself, the more you can express it and the more you can share. Imagine you said your favorite food is pizza. So like imagine you open a pizza spot. Mm-hmm. Don't just open it, because you wouldn't just open a pizza spot. You would think, I imagine when you get pizza, it's a mood you in when you want pizza. Even though you love it, it's your favorite food. But when you get pizza, I'm in a certain mood when I want pizza, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you get it, you set up a whole thing for the people. Well, I got me a pizza day. I'm getting pizza when I get home. Hey, you planning for it. I'm going to call ahead to whatever pizza spot I'm going to. Yep. I'm going to get this drink. I'm going to have this. I'm going to be watching this movie and this. That. You set a whole experience for yourself, because I'm about to do something I love, which is eating pizza, right? Yep. So if you was to make a pizza spot, that's the part you would share. It's not just the pizza. You would share that experience, that everybody that comes into your pizza spot, they feel that, which you feel when you sit down on that Friday night, that Saturday, whenever, Tuesday for you, I imagine, because you love pizza, right? Yeah. Whatever day, and they feel it as they take every bite, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's you in there now. That restaurant is you. It's not a pizza spot. It's Walker's spot, right? Yep. He served pizza there. You feel me? Right? Yeah. Like, that's what it's supposed to be about.
And the main topic that we're talking about is, you know how I brought up Bashar earlier before we started the podcast, but the one thing that he always speaks about is it's all about following your greatest passion. That's it. And it's not even just Bashar who said this. This is all the ascended masters that say this, right?
All of them.
It's all about following your greatest passion, not caring about the result.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your passion. So it's like how you say, it's like when you creating things or what you doing, are you doing, what are the reasons behind it? Is it something that you really love? Is this something that you really want to do? Is this something that feels just perfect in your body, like it's calling you? Because if you living through that passion when it comes to the creation, it's gonna do whatever it's supposed to do, but you're not supposed to think like that. The greatest things are created when you truly love it.
Love doing it. You love the process of making it, because people can see that, and oftentimes that's what draws people in.
Yeah.
Not the ending result, not the product or the whatever you made. It's the whole process of, damn, why they was making it though.
Yes.
That shit was crazy.
Yes.
Right? Because like, think about it in sports terms, right? You know, in 2020, you know, we lost Kobe. Like shortly before that, LeBron James hit his, you know, scoring record, right? And, you know, and like, I think a lot of people when they talk about Kobe would say, but this scoring record, but like, was the record what we really cared about, or was it seeing every game that led up to it and how he got there?
Yeah.
Boy, it was this one game, or my favorite Kobe game, or you don't give a fuck about the record for real. You don't. It's a number at the end of the day. Kobe didn't give a fuck about the record, if we're being honest.
That's something he did.
That's something that man did. He woke.
You want to talk about passion?
That man, basketball was what Kobe was put here to show us could be done at a level motherfuckers ain't seen yet.
Yes.
Right?
But not even basketball. But just how far and how great you can be at anything. If you really put your time and effort and practice and just all of your love into this one thing. He dedicated his life to the game. He explained, like he loved the way how the net sounded when it went through the net. Like he loved every detail about the game. It was so deep. It was a deep love for the game, and it showed. And honestly, I feel like anybody in any type of field of work can be inspired
just
by
like that.
Yeah. Because you can be as great. He just wanted to be great at basketball.
Because, like, think about the practicality of it. Like, even in that small example you just used, he liked the swish of the net. So what am I going to do if I love that sound? I'm going to find a way to hear it as much as possible, right? And that just mean getting better at the game. Yeah. I got to shoot better so I can hear that swish more. And, like, that's what I mean. It's like, if love is driving what you're doing, everything that everybody's always trying to, with the result, is going to come by nature of you doing it out of love anyway.
Yes, 100%. So we've been having a great conversation. I think we got to have a segment to where we talk about like just some crazy theories. We got to talk about it. I feel like we can do it.
Oh, we going there. We
got to go there. And this the segment right here. Now I want to ask you a few questions. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about other entities in the universe? Do you think they exist? Do you think are there several civilizations out there in the universe? Do you think that we are alone, or do you think that we're not? Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
The answer to the question is yes, right? As simple as you can put it. Yeah. And not just because like I personally have had, like, and I do mean personally have had interaction, you know, and understanding the interactions that I've had with entities outside of regular, you know, everyday, mundane, you know. Yeah. Yes, they exist. Yes, they are not just out there, they're present, right? Mm-hmm. Not just present, but caring, right? Because at the level that you get when you become one of these entities, and I don't want to say become these entities, I'm getting ahead of myself. The level that you get when you are a being that can see. Think about the way that humans treat dogs, cats, pets that we have in our homes, right? Yeah. People would think about treating a pet as a lesser thing, but like think about how much love that we show pets because they can't do the things we can do. And in turn, they show us a love it doesn't have condition, right? Unconditional love, because they're like, this thing that's much greater than I am. They can do things I can't. A dog can't do this, right? But we invite the dog in here with us, right? And so I think of the entities outside of ourselves, the greater, you know, spirits, some of them physical, corporeal, aliens, right? Some of them, right? Multidimensional, non-corporeal, right? Yeah. All of them looking down, I shouldn't say looking down, but looking at us and saying, we were there too. Exactly. There's a lot to learn. We can't learn it for you. We can't help you learn it even.
Yeah.
But we can guide you. We can be here, right? And so yes, right? But also, if you just look at historically, right? Ancient societies left, hey y'all, we was communing with these motherfuckers, right? Like in modern science, well, they was just, they was it was they was symbolic, or it was gods, it was it. No, they was like, bro, it was a spaceship. Shit came down. There's cave paintings of spaceships.
Yeah.
There's cave paintings of people with bubbles around their heads, seemingly like spacesuits, right? And these are cave paintings.
Yes.
You understand me? And so if they were just painting what they saw. Yeah, they came up with stories, but like their stories were about what they saw. So like they didn't paint dragons in their shit because they didn't see dragons. They painted antelopes, they painted spears, they painted elephants, and some of them mammoths because that, how long ago it was. They didn't paint dragons because they didn't see dragons. They painted spaceships though. And so like you got to ask yourself, what does that mean, right? Well, I know what it means. It means they saw spaceships, right? Like it's very straightforward. And so, yeah, like they're definitely out there. And I think right now, and this is the part that I think is a lot of people can't even feel this too. They're close because of the things going on right now. We are in and we spoke about this on the phone, we are in a powerful period of transition, a powerful paradigm shift in our species, something that does not happen in every species all the time, an awakening.
Yes.
And that sends out a beacon to all other species that have already ascended to that level. We're about to get to witness a species potentially awaken to the next level. I say potentially because it's a choice, right?
Yes.
We can absolutely fall. And that might also be something they want to see, right?
But what if it's a shift to a new reality?
Well, that is what it is, right? And they're here to witness that, but there's still a choice that we have to make, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we don't make it collectively,
yeah, I'm with you. I'm following with that because a lot with what you said, I believe in 100%. I mean, if you believe it or if you don't, that's your decision. That's whatever resonates with you. I personally agree with everything you saying, and I think, like I said, multidimensional, different type of forms. I mean, life is so. It's so many layers. It's so many different. Like if you look at how diverse the species here on Earth alone is. Alone. It is. I wish I could give the exact number of how many species there are on this planet alone. You cannot sit here and think that as above, as so below, as within,
so without.
There is that going on in the stars that's going on all around us.
It is.
Because, and even like how you said too, which we going to get into, this is why it's going to be a good segue. But like, we have seen, I think in ancient text, ancient even just the structures, the ancient structures that we see, that we still hear, the 7 wonders of the world that we can go and look at and try to figure out what was going on. I think even everything that you see is a show of like that it was something going on back then with extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call them, but or people that have already advanced before our time. And I want to say, my bad, I'm gonna let you rock.
Go ahead.
But I think even with the scriptures, like even in religions and stuff like that, of how they depict these things that's happening, my ideal is that a lot of this is like basically like even saying that things flew off or things went off into the sky or things came down, angels falling, right?
All from the sky, right? From
the sky. Even heaven, the word heavens, the origin of that is basically space.
The cosmos, yeah.
Yes, so, and that's the thing that I think about back then is like, when we speak of heavens, at that time, you gonna think like, even at that time, you had no light pollution, right?
So you see
imagine what you're
anything.
seeing.
Yeah.
Imagine what you're seeing at that time of ignorance. I'm not saying ignorance in a bad way, but
just
you gotta
not
think back
knowing.
then, just the conscious at that time of a regular human at that time. This is what they're seeing. something coming down, which could have been the Anunnaki or whatever. That's my.
And that's just one of the species,
But
right?
that's just one of the species.
Like
but
you have
when
them, the Pleiadians, you have Starseed. I mean, like
the Syrians,
Sirius people, the people from Syrians, right? And like if you look at, there's like an African tribe, the Dogon.
the Dogon tribe.
Right? The Dogon tribe of Africa speaks about the Sirius star system and the people from the Sirius star system. And like where it gets even crazier is the way they describe them is very similar to the way that the Nagas from Hindu mythology are described, which are serpentine, aquatic, half man, half, right?
Yeah.
Gods, right? So Shiva, Vishnu, all of them, they were also described as this and not, right? And so it's like you see patterns across the world from people separated by thousands of miles, thousands of years in some cases, describing the same things, right? Describing the same entities, And like modern science will say, that's a coincidence, or they didn't, they were just, because modern science doesn't know how to address that, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about science, because like I've loved it my whole life. I know what science is, and what science has never been is absolute. And so many people think about science as absolute, right? It's not. It can't be by its nature. Its very nature is the continual amassing of knowledge, right? It can't be absolute by its nature. And so, we think our understanding of life currently tells us, well, life needs oxygen, it needs water, it needs that here. And Earth is a very specific set of circumstances, right?
Yep.
Life evolves wherever we find it, because on this specific set of circumstances, even the craziest places on this planet, the hydrothermal vents miles down in the ocean have life around them, right?
Yeah.
So if life can evolve there, it can absolutely evolve out of space in different planets and different circumstances, right? Life can evolve in ways we don't even understand yet. We think of life as only being corporeal, physical, right? If life can be, or if consciousness is rooted in the mind and we don't know if it is or not, none of the individual cells or the atoms that make up those cells in my mind are conscious, but I am. If that's the case, can any atom hold consciousness the same way that the atoms of my mind do? If that's the case, does a physical entity need to be the conduit for consciousness and therefore life? No, because atoms also exist in energy fields, right?
Yes.
So like energy could be given consciousness and made life, right? So when we start to break away these rules of what things can and cannot be, which mind you, we set, and just because we set them doesn't mean the universe cared about them being set. Like, no, right?
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things that I feel like are going on that we are, like how you said, we are part of this. We are, people call this the age of Aquarius, to where a lot of things are going to be, brought up, and things are going to be discussed, and things are not going to be, closed down no more. Just like the discoveries that are said to be found. I don't know if it's 100%. Is it 100% yet? But even what we're seeing right now with the archaeologists or what they're finding, that's major. But it's so crazy because then not too long ago, I think last year, and it's crazy how it has not been discussed of how somebody said this. I don't know the exact guy, but he was like, spacecrafts are coming out of the water. And it's so crazy how everybody was talking about it for like 2 weeks, and then
it was during a congressional hearing on UAPs, which are,
Yes.
Congressional hearing on UAPs, basically the government themselves saying, we have all this footage of all these different spaceships, and like most of the public was like, oh, it's just a distraction. And like for the government's sake, maybe they were using it as a distraction, but like it just so happened to be beneficial that they had that footage to use as a distraction. Yeah. The shit itself isn't a distraction though, right? Because again, ancient people talk about a lot of the gods not coming from the sky but the sea, right? They talked about, yes, you had your spaceships from the sky, but most of the beings came from the oceans, right? The Dogon said that the people from Sirius first went to the ocean and came out of the ocean. They met them on the beaches, right? And so, I consider these things, again, with the Hindu mythology, the Nagas were the same way, right? They came from the seas, the ocean. If you go to Mesoamerica, right, the Aztecs, they have the god who? Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl came from the water, right? They
You
met
know, it's
him.
crazy. Actually went to Chichen Itza.
Really?
Yeah, I went to go visit and learn the Mayan culture.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what, and that was super dope.
It was cool as fuck, wasn't it?
Bro. But see, Quetzalcoatl, he was the god of over the Mayans, right?
Yeah.
That was their god. It was crazy to be at that pyramid, because that's a pyramid too. But at that pyramid and at the stairs, every time you clap, you heard a bird, and that was based off Quetzalcoatl.
The birds that would be around in the area, yeah.
Yes. And because that was the name of, that was the depiction of him. But the fact that you go to the stairs, every time you clapped, it made a bird type of frequency noise. Like, how the fuck?
And they built that pyramid to do that specifically, right? And like, when you understand like acoustics and all that, you can do things like that. But then what I have to accept as a person that knows acoustics is they had to know acoustics, right? And if they knew acoustics, what the fuck else did they know, right? That history books don't tell us that they knew. Because to do what you said, again, to design a pyramid that every time you clap, it sounds like the Quetzalcoatl bird that's in the area. I think it's called a Quetzal. It's in the area, right?
Yeah, Quetzal bird.
The Quetzal bird is in the area. It sounds like it's call, right?
Yeah.
And so think about how much you have to know to do that. You have to be able to perfectly mimic the call of a fucking animal, right? Do that with stone and tools. Make it specifically in a massive pyramid so that when you clap, people can hear it. So people can literally hear the bird. I mean, that is an insane feat of engineering, right?
Yes.
Even for today, that would be an insane feat of engineering.
We have not seen it done. Nobody has done it.
And so for them to have done something like that, one, you'll have archaeologists to say, oh, it's just a happy accident that happened. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like, these people were not
vibratorial type of, some type of resonance that they had to understand.
That was
with
intentional.
The stairs and how.
That's intentional. And so and this is where I go back to a lot of the esoteric things I've learned over my life, like things like Atlantis, things like ancient cultures having higher technologies and all that. Mm-hmm. I stopped thinking of technology as being progressive in the sense that I understand it, that, oh, well, when I was younger, we had this technology. And then, when I hit this age, this came out and this came out and this came out. And it's like, no, right? That's one specific period of time, our period of time, where technology happens that way, right? Technology is not just metal and electricity and all that. Technology is any way that you've applied science to solve a problem, right? So stone tools, when cavemen used stone tools, right? They made spears and axes. That was technology. How do I know? Spears don't exist in nature, right? They had to make that. And so as things evolve, right, ancient people could have absolutely had technologies because they recognized things that we've stopped recognizing. And they learned to apply it. They learned to apply sound-based technologies. They learned to apply water-based technologies. They learned how to apply these different technologies that we haven't gone down that route. We went down electricity. They could have went down sound, light, all manner of different things. But we don't know.
So I want to say this. Mm-hmm. Even with the pyramids of Giza.
Oh, yeah.
So with the discoveries of the archaeologists, let's say if it's 100% real, we're going to say that. Because right now we got to still wait for time. We got people going. Let's just say, what do you think those pillars are? Do you think because it could be multiple things, right? What they're depicting, right? It could be some type of electrical, energetic charge type of thing, like how you say like a battery, or it could be something that's another pathway to something else.
Even deeper, right?
Even deeper.
So, and for those that may not know, you're discussing the recent discovery at the pyramids of Giza of a massive underground complex, right? 8 cylindrical pillars going down 648 meters, which is 2,000 feet underground, right? And again, this is under the pyramids of Giza, meaning it was made back then. And going 2,000 feet underground today is still difficult to do, right? Yeah. I know because I'm in construction. So I know how hard it is to dig into the ground, right? And so they went 2,000 feet. 8 separate pillars with helical surroundings. If you look at what they've presented, or if you look at the LiDAR images that they have, and it's not LiDAR, it's called SAR, and I can't remember what the acronym stands for right now, but it's actually a new scanning technology for how to look into the ground with a different type of radar system.
Yeah.
When you look at it, these 8 pillars, and there's like a coil going around each of the pillars, right? There's massive boxes, or I shouldn't say boxes, because again, this is 2 kilometers of space underneath these pyramids, 2 square kilometers of space underneath these pyramids. It's a massive complex. And there's these 2 massive, like, square or rectangular rooms at the base of
it, yep.
of the pillars, right? And so if I had to give my guess, right, and like you said, this is being peer reviewed, so the structures are down there. That much is actually that's solid, that's sound. The structures are down there. We don't know what they are, what they look like yet. Fully, the radar images are just radar images, right? But based on the radar images, based on the description, if you had to ask me, I would say they are indeed energy generators. Why I say that is because, and I brought him up earlier, one of my favorite scientists, Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla had developed, or was developing, a way to send energy, electrical energy, wirelessly from thing to thing, right? And he created these gigantic towers to do so, right? And if you look up Nikola Tesla, you can find all this out.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla himself is quoted saying that he got a lot of the things that he made. He was not creating them or discovering them. He was rediscovering them from ancient Egypt.
Wow.
Nikola Tesla had an extreme love and admiration for ancient Egypt and their technologies. And he also believed that the pyramids were energy generators. He didn't have the evidence or proof of it at the time, but he also believed that they were energy generators, right? Based on the things he had read and studied about the pyramids, and based on his own work, he was like, this looks like not that this looks like what I'm designing. I'm going to design my shit based off of this, because like this might solve the problem of it. And so now to find this, right, even the way that the things are coiled around with the boxes at the bottom looks like a Van de Graaff generator. It looks like the very thing that Tesla designed to create static at the, you've seen it, the circular ring of the Tesla coil. That's what it's called. Yeah. Tesla coils are powered by something called a Van de Graaff generator, right? And it's essentially just a belt that goes up and down along a conveyor inside the tube that generates static electricity, right? And so you can do it that way, or you can do it with coils, right? Yeah. And so when I'm looking at the picture of the radar, it looks like there's coils around that.
It does.
The pillars, and there's big boxes at the bottom where the static would be stored, right?
Yeah.
And the pillar would act as the conduit from the bottom to the top. And we also know that pyramids had a gold cap on the top. Gold is extremely electrically conductive. And so when you take all that together, I think it was a battery. I think that's what they made. I think they made a battery, because
100%.
the physics of it is all there for it to work as a battery, if that's what they made. And it looks like they made it intentionally. So
yeah. And I think for me too, like that was like confirmation to me that they had, it wasn't, and this is not me, I'm not downplaying humans' capability. I'm not doing that. But I do feel like there was something helping, right? I do feel like there was a greater something, even because if you just think of just humans to do something that crazy, you have to go back in time, because I also believe that the pyramids wasn't built at the time that they say that pyramids were built. I feel like the pyramids was built like 100,000 years
before
ago.
that.
Yeah, like but I just feel like I just feel like it was something assisting. Because the technology of the pyramids, the mathematical crazy alignments of the pyramids, it's just too crazy to me. Like even just how the square footage of the pyramids equals the speed of light.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? Like what are we doing? And even back at that time, it not right now, but even at that time, they was able to do studies to know that at that time that it was built, that it was aligned to the Orion's built at that time, which is even more crazy.
Crazy, right? I want to challenge something, and I only want to challenge one thing, because this is a way for humanity to see itself as greater, right? The statement you made, like, could they have done that without help? Could they have? Well, everything we create with help, right? So like all the things you made, you You had to learn from somebody prior to you. You didn't find out all the knowledge that you acquired to create the things you created, right? You went to open a book from somebody else who had found it, right? In that sense. But in the sense of, could humanity have created something? Could we have had those ideas, right? Could we have, I'm having the ideas I'm having, right, about the connection between consciousness and telepathy. Einstein had the ideas he had about light and how it worked and what we would see if we were traveling at that speed. I do think that it is restrictive of us to think people in the past didn't know as much as we know, right? Because we think of knowledge as a progressive thing, right? That we've amassed it over all this time, and not thinking that we could have had way more back then and lost it all, and we're re-amassing knowledge, right?
Exactly.
And so, because our species is 300,000 years old.
Yes, 100%.
300,000, and so that's a lot of time for us to amass knowledge. I do absolutely believe, though, that in that time, like what I said with the cave paintings, I do absolutely believe we've been visited. We've had beings and entities come here. Do I think that they were like designed it this way? No. And the reason I say that is, like I said, they came here understanding we have to learn these lessons on our own. They can guide us, right? They can inspire us, right?
Yeah.
With their own creations. How are they flying, right?
Yeah.
Because humanity's been obsessed with flying for a very long time, right? It might have been seeing them. How are they flying? We got to get there. We got to understand it. And so I think in that way we absolutely were inspired. I think that we were absolutely shown, or at least guided to see how these different things could work.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Especially like in a sense of, because even when I would do my research on how those things was built at that time, I would hear a lot that maybe we were at that time was just like, I feel like there were other entities that was giving us the information, that was giving us the ways of how to do these things and how to get it done effectively, like learning how levitation works, to be able to move the stones, to be able to, use your energy, or using all of these different spiritual tools to be able to create this. So I'm with you on that too. I feel like I feel like maybe at that time it was more advanced, and we lost a sense of touch of our spiritual essence to be able to do these things. So I agree with what you're saying too.
Because it's you have the idea that they came down here and like they sent engineers and showed us specifically, but I think from their perspective, right? You're coming to see a brand new species, right? And you're seeing them evolve. Would you want to see them do things the way you did them, or would you want to see a new way potentially to do something? You want to see a new way to do something, right? And so you might give them the science. You might show them levitation, but not show them how to do it, but show them that it's possible, right? And then how are they going to get there, though? How are they going to figure it out, right? Because there might be multiple ways to make something levitate. Which way are they going to find? We might have used sound. Oh, they use sound. That's creative, right? Yeah. And then it's like, because now it's, I am being a steward of knowledge in the universe. I am, think of it, a librarian, right? The way I see alien species genuinely are two types, right? Two major types. And from these, you have a bunch of others. But you have two types. I call one of them the librarian, right? This is a species we should want to run into. I'll put it that way, right? The librarian is the species that goes through the universe, goes through the galaxy, and codexes everything. They codify everything. They're just learning, essentially. There's this planet. We'll give it a name. We'll codex it, the life on it, understand it, move on. It might teach us something about life, about spirituality, about something. They might have figured out. That's the librarian, right? And every now and then they might help, right? They might. And then you have the other type. None of us we do not want to run into, right? You have the other type, and they are the consumer, right? They go through the cosmos, and this planet, this rock has gold on it, right? And has a lot of gold on it. Unfortunate that there's life on it, too. I don't care about the life on it, because these other rocks also had life on it, but those other rocks didn't have gold on it. So I'm going to kill all the life here, take the gold, and I'm going to go do something else with it, right? Yeah. We much rather run into the librarian, right? Rather want to run into the librarian, because the consumer, they're not going to care that we're here. Because to them, they might have seen 1 million planets before ours, and there might have been 1,000 of those planets with life on them, and they wiped out all 1,000. Because they were like, there'll be 1,000 more, right? Yeah. So they don't care.
That's crazy. Yeah. I think, that's different. Of course, there's different types. It's different types. I feel like even like kind of like how Thoth was, like Thoth, or even the Anunnakis, Inky, care for society. They care for society.
Librarians.
Yeah, they care for the advancement of humans.
Society. Exactly.
So yeah, and the librarian type fits well with them, and that's what even with the I feel like with the wonders of the world, like the pyramids around the world, I feel like there's some type of connection. My personal belief is that like the gods at that time, they spread it across the regions, because I think that's the reason why we see these similarities, but differences.
Yeah.
It's similarities,
but there's a thread
differences.
Of connection, right?
And there's different people that derive from these regions. Is you see the same type of thing, but there's different people. There's different. They look different. But it's the same type of stuff. But it's like that's how it shows that whoever was on this planet at the time, they came and made a real mark, and they showed that mark, and that mark is still here for us to look and ponder. Of like, how did they, how the hell is this possible? We still don't know. We are still figuring this out to this day. First of all, we have ways to go when it comes to advancement. I mean, if you think about it, I was looking at, what was that one fact that we just discovered, that there was other galaxies outside of ours, like in 1992. In 1992, we just had created the technology, which is like, what, 30 years? 1992? 32?
Yeah,
32 years?
Yeah.
32 years ago. We're just figuring out that.
And and this is why I said earlier, science isn't absolute, right? It's ever evolving, and that's why I also don't ever try to put like this is what is, and it can't be this way, it can't be. I don't know, right? Like I don't, because that to me is better to say, because what does it mean? There's shit I can learn, I can find out,
exactly,
because I never want to stop learning, right? I never want to stop. To me, even the idea that the crazy things that we see in Egypt and in pyramids and all that across the world, I'm like, but is there a level higher than that? Because I'm thinking that's basic, right? That's why when I think of these species helping us build it, I'm like, I don't think they built it them. They're like, gave us the plans. I think they let us come up with it, because if they had designed it, them shits would float, right? And shits would be float. That's the way I'm thinking. Like they wanted to see our way of doing it. Like, okay, that's where y'all at now. Okay, we gave y'all the science, but that's how y'all interpreted the science now. Because they might not even have new sciences each time they come. It's the same science, but it's like, how much better do you understand it? How much deeper have you traveled into that understanding of gravity or of sound or of light or of energy or of whatever, to discover more and more shit about it, right? Wow. Like a person. How much deeper have you met yourself such that you can share more of it to other people, right?
Yeah. Damn. And I feel like that's where humanity is at now. It's like, I feel like even the other entities, species, whatever, they just watching Earth and just letting us rock. Because guess what? You can't intrude. You can't intrude in a sense of now. I think where we at now is you can't intrude, because free will. There's a thing is free will, and there's a things of evolution, and we have to evolve naturally. I'm pretty sure all of the other entities and species in the world evolved naturally, and there are 1,000 years of advance, but it's like they had to want to get there, right?
Yep. And
we are on this journey right now of evolution and getting there. That's why it's like now in life right now, I don't know what era we in is evolution, because we still learning. It's a lot of people still waking up. It's a lot of people still living in duality, and we working through that. It's a process, but it's all a part of it. And I think you can't just expect this to just be a whole like heaven type of experience. Everything's supposed to be great. Everything's supposed to, we all supposed to be. No, we have to go through the bad to understand. We are all on a process of understanding ourselves and looking through ourselves through different POVs and like really learning and growing. That's the process of like the whole thing. That's what I think.
You know how I think of humanity and how it's easier to think of our species collectively, right? By comparing them to other species out there that could exist potentially, right? Yeah. Our species is 300,000 years old. That sounds like a very long time. And like on the scales that we normally deal with, it is. on cosmic scales, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
Our species might as well be 3 months old, comparatively speaking, right?
Yes.
And it's like, imagine a species, not even 3 months, like 3 days to be so serious. Imagine a species.
You comparing it to just the
Watch this, right?
timeline.
Watch this, right?
Okay. I got
Our
you.
species
I'll
is
let you land.
300,000 years old, right?
Yeah.
That means humans have only been around for 300,000 years, right? The universe has been around for 14.3 billion years, as far as we know currently, again, because science is not absolute. Imagine we run into a species that's been around for 3 million years. The species has been around. Their species has gone through 3 million years of evolution. Ours has only gone through 300,000 years of evolution, right? And now, keep taking that farther. And think about, in our 300,000 years, we're coming to a point where we might destroy ourselves, right?
Yes.
In just 300,000 years. We're only 3 days old. Think about that species that's 3 million years old. They've gone through multiple versions of that. Think about a species that's 3 billion years old, right? 3 billion years old, okay?
Yeah.
They've survived in the universe for 3 billion years as a species. They could look wholly different from how they existed when they first started.
Yes.
But they have existed as the species they are for 3 billion years. That would be a god to us, right? The things that they could come and do in our galaxy, not just on our planet, but in our galaxy, we wouldn't be able to distinguish it from nature, right? They would be so advanced that the things that they would do, we would not be able to tell that it was a sentient, conscious entity doing it, or is this just something the universe does? That's how advanced they would be. 3 billion years, right?
Yeah.
We're only 300,000 years old. And so the way that I've always find comfort is like, there's so much more that we can learn and we can grow into and we can become, right? Humanity has the capacity, has the potential to become a much greater species, right?
Yes.
And I'm not talking survival of the fittest, strongest, that is bullshit. I'm talking evolution to a level where we can adapt to things outside of just the things we're dealing with here. Because the idea that heaven can't exist on earth, I think, is also bullshit. The moment that we make heaven here on earth, right, where every person is kumbaya, we're all good, evil doesn't go away. It becomes a new thing. Evil then isn't other people, it's other species. That's when we might run into that consumer species I was talking about, because then we might be ready to take them on. Oh, you want to come to our rock and get our gold? Nah, pimp. Nah, go back out there with that bullshit, right? But that's not gonna happen in our current state. If the consumer alien species shows up now, we done for, waxed immediately.
Oh yeah.
Movies show us we're done for, and it would be quick. I mean, within a day, we'd be done for, right? Because they wouldn't waste time. And so we're not going to take on that species in our current form, but if we get to the point where I was talking about at the event, where I can feel everyone around me to the level that I'm not going to harm you because I can feel the harm in my own body when I do that. And now we have heaven on earth, and now we can go out there and go even farther as a species, but we're.
Yeah. And one day I think, which it could be, because I think about when it comes in terms of time, it's so crazy. Especially dinosaurs, how long dinosaurs was around. It's God damn. What? How long? 300 million? Was it 300 million years for dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs existed from 525 million years ago. There's the Permian era, right? All the way up to 65 million years ago. So that's a span of 475 million or so years that dinosaurs ruled this planet, right? And we've only been here for 300,000. That's what I keep trying. It's perspective, right? It's perspective.
Oh my gosh, bro. That really, it always blow my mind. It's just that's why I look at it as a thing. It's just that where I'm at now, what we doing now, the world going to keep going once we leave,
ascend, right?
We ascend and we move forward. But what we doing right now is so important. We're planting the seeds. Yes. It's from millions of, who knows if humanity will be around a million years from now, but it's right now, what I'm doing, what you're doing, what all the people around us doing, whatever people in the world is doing good, we are planting the seeds for the future. We are planting the seeds for the evolvement of our society. And I look at that, I'm like, damn, like I'm just really playing a role in this crazy ass existence. Like this shit is fucking crazy. I'm like my lifetime is like a little fucking blink.
Yeah.
In its existence, but it's like it's an important part though.
It is. And you know, humans, the way we frame things is if something is important, it has to take up a lot of space, or it has to take up a lot of time, or it has to be very loud, or it has to be very flashy, it has to be very shiny, right? Because that's how we see importance. But like, and this is one of my favorite examples, you know, a very, 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 very expensive watch, right? So like think an AP or a Rolex or whatever, right?
Yeah.
These watches cost so much money because they have, in some cases, thousands of pieces, right? Some of these pieces are literally microscopic. Like you need a magnifying glass. No, I'm sorry, not a magnifying, a microscope to see some of the pieces in some of these watches, right? Mm-hmm. But if just one of those 1,000 tiny microscopic pieces wasn't in the watch, would it still work? No. And so every single part of any system, from the smallest part of it to the largest part of it, to the point of it, all of it is equally important, right?
Yes.
Because none of it exists without the other. And so, like, for example, our brain is the most important organ, but it's like, but would your brain be here without your stomach? No. Would your stomach be here without your heart? No. Would your heart be here without your liver? No. Right? Like, all interconnected, so none of them can really hold the I'm the most important, because, all right, nigga, let's see if I stop working, if you the most important then, right? And then you find out, damn. So, yeah.
Yeah, everything is for, like, it's like everything is playing a part in the role of, like, just the universe in general. It's the knowing, and I think that's how I look at God. That's how I look at the universe. We all on a data collection mission. Like, from my POV, I'm experiencing life from my POV, and I'm picking up data and experiences and the dark moments, the great moments. I'm going through all these things, and you are God from your point of view, and you're going through your exactly from your. That's what I'm saying. Is like we all are the one source in a million. But I said this 1,000 times, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep saying it. But we are the one source. God is everything. But everything is experiencing itself from a different point of view to bring back to the ultimate source. Because to know yourself, you have to experience yourself.
Because, all right, let's go back to, and this is why, like I said, I'm sorry. Let's go back. Let's go back to what I said about how do we know, and this is where we're gonna end it, right? Just because this one's gonna be right. Okay. I want people to really think about this last piece here. Okay. What did I say about how we learn ourselves? We ask questions, right? Why do I like pizza? Why do I, respond to aggressiveness this way? Why do, right? Imagine you're God at the beginning of time. There's nothing but you and infinity, right? And if you're God at the beginning of time, you created everything, so you know everything. But what did we say about just because I know the name of something doesn't mean I understand it? No. God knows all, right?
I know where you're going.
God knows all, but does God understand all? And we will say, of course he does, Thought experiment. There is a thought experiment that goes, if you lock somebody from the time they were born until the point in this experiment, right? If you lock somebody in a room, it was a white room, right? 4 walls, all white. And the only colors in that room were black, white, and gray. And you raise this child for the entirety of their life, from the moment they were born. They did not see any other color, literally no other color. There's no mirrors in this room, so they can't see themselves as the only other non-white, black, or gray thing in the room, because humans obviously aren't actually white or black, right? Any human interaction is through a little thing in the door, so they're past the tray. The tray has black, gray, and white on it. All their foods are black, gray, and white, so they're being color corrected, et cetera, right? Mm. However, in this room, they have an infinite library that tells them everything they want to know about colors, right? So they can become a complete expert on colors, color theory, what colors are, how they exist, how they happen, et cetera, right? The thought experiment goes as such. After they've read every single book in that room, after they've learned everything that they can learn about color, right? Would they learn anything new by seeing colors for the first time?
Yes.
And so now the question becomes, God created everything. He knows everything that he's created, but does he understand it just because he made it, right? And so then I have to ask, how would God understand it? He would ask questions. But what would God's questions look like? What does life look like to live as Tekelion Thompson between 1993 to whenever he passes, doing the things that Tekelion Thompson would do for his lifetime? I got to figure that out. So part of my consciousness, Tekelion Thompson. What would I be doing if I was Walker between
1996
to whenever, right? I got to answer that. So
what would it be like to be a plant?
What would it be like to be a plant? What would it be like to be a speck of dirt? What would it be like to be an atom in a star? What would it be like to... And so then God imparts himself everywhere because he wants to not just know all, he wants to understand all and be all. And so that to me is why God is in everything, right? Wow. Because if I'm thinking from the perspective of God, I'm going to have questions. And how I'm going to answer them the best way? To experience it. Because I'm not just going to ask what pussy feel like. Right? I'm not just going to ask what pussy... I have to experience it. And then I'm going to know. And so with that, you feel me?
That's a great example. For sure. For sure. But, man, That's an amazing way to put it. Great example. Great example. I want to say this. I would ask the guests that come on. This gonna be one of the last things before we close out. But talking about all of these things and learning your perspective on life and learning your story, what do you feel like is your purpose, your overall purpose? Do you feel like you know your purpose? Do you feel like you are? What is it?
I love this question now. I used to hate this question. I'm not gonna lie to you. I used to hate this question because, like, when somebody asks you a question like that, like, you know, do you know your purpose? It's like, because it feels like asking me, like, what am I worth here? Because, like, if I don't do it, was I worthless? If I don't accomplish it, was there no point to me being here, right? But I stopped looking at it that way. In my old neighborhood, like when I first moved to Charlotte, I lived in this apartment complex. And in the complex, there was this huge tree, like, beautiful tree, right? That was, like, basically in the parking area, right? And sometimes I would just sit in my car and I would stare at this tree, like for, you know, hours, literally, because you know how you just be chilling in your car sometimes. You don't want to go inside, you just got off to work, whatever. So I spent a lot of time looking up at this tree. And one day, while I'm looking at this tree, the question comes across my mind, I wonder what a tree's purpose is, right? And mind you, the question isn't, I wonder what the purpose of a tree is. The question is, I wonder what a tree's purpose is, right? One question is asking, what is the use of the tree? The other question is asking, what is the tree here to do? So I went into Google and I typed, what is a tree's purpose, right? And this is why I say learning how to read spiritual signs is important, because we're thinking it has to come a specific way. Do you know the first response on that motherfucker, what it said? When I asked, what is a tree's purpose? The response in Google, because you know how Google will give you the first, best, whatever. It said, a tree contributes to its environment by. Now, hold on real quick. Hold on. I had to stand up because when I read that, when I read that, it was a shout, right? Because I asked it.
You're going to be cut off.
I asked it. Damn. Damn.
Yeah. I know.
But I asked it, right?
Yeah.
What is a tree's purpose? Google's response. A tree contributes to its environment by. What is a tree's purpose? A tree contributes to its environment by. And everything after the by was ameliorating the soil, exchanging carbon and oxygen, you know, doing X, Y, you know, being essentially all the things that trees do just being trees, right? And so the question and answer now, if you read it as it is, what is a tree's purpose? Trees contribute to their environment by being trees. right?
Yeah.
Because there's the question and the answer. The answer to my question was they contribute to their environment. Every single person's purpose is to contribute to your environment. Every living thing's purpose is to contribute to their environment. How do you do it? The way you would do it, right? People say, what should my purpose be? Well, what would you do today? Because you're the only person on earth that would do it. You're the only person on earth that would think to do the things that you're going to do today. And the world needs you to do those things because you're the only one that's here to do them, right? Even if you ride a bike and somebody else rode a bike, you rode it differently, right? You rode it for a different reason, and you got something different out of riding the bike, right? Yeah. And so your purpose is genuinely, as wild as it sounds to say, to just be you, like seriously. Because if you don't, if Rihanna wasn't just being her, we wouldn't have Fenty, right? If Beyonce wasn't just being her, we wouldn't have Beyonce. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So your purpose is literally to just do what you were going to do anyway, because no one else is going to do it.
Wow. So that's how you feel?
That's how I feel, bro.
Wow.
If you're a tree, be a tree, basically.
Wow. I love that. So we can, where do you think, where people can find you? What Instagrams, what platforms, or this is you can let it all out. You got any shows or anything that's coming up?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram, Onyx Frost, ONYX_FROST. You can also find me on TikTok. I believe under the same name because I don't. But it's Onyx Frost on TikTok as well. Okay. That's my primary.
Okay. Right? Okay. Well, we good. Well, you heard it here, folks. Wonderful conversation with my guy Onyx. Man, I love this, man. I can't wait for the people to see this one. I really am.
Same.
We're all walking back to the eternal light. Make sure you love yourself. Make sure you stay curious. Make sure you stay compassionate. Make sure you just be yourself.
Always be yourself.
And live through that. And we out. See y'all next week. You dig?